The Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings 2021 Valspar Championship DraftKings picks in preview. If you want to play in the best tournament on the DraftKings, hit the description of this video and podcast. Get in the Pat Mayo Experience Listeners League. The link is down there. $15 to play, 3 max entry. No rake. Let's fill it up. It's almost full already, so you're probably going to want to get a spot now before it is completely full. Also, the newsletter is down there as well. The link to it, I put one out on Tuesday morning with some more in-depth coverage both on the Valspar and on the NFL draft, plus other giveaways that we're doing right now. So please join the free newsletter. It's free, so help us out over here, all right? And fantasynational.com/Mayo gets you 20% off. And if you just kind of scroll down on Fantasy National a little bit, you might see some new filters popping up over the course of the next week or so as we get ready for the PGA Championship. No better time to get in on Fantasy National than right now. Why not, right? Ben Rasa from Awesemo.com is on the line. You ready for the Valspar? This is a fun one.
I love the Valspar. Don't remember it because the last time we saw it was quite a while. Like when I was reading that Paul Casey was going for the three-peat, I was like, wait, what? But I now remember we haven't seen this course in a while. I'm very excited to get back. I love this course.
I feel like this is a course where you win a lot of money solely because Paul Casey keeps winning here.
So anytime you got Paul Casey winning and Usti getting in the hunt, that's probably why I say I love this course. I've had some good success here over the years. I like it. It's tough. It fits the kind of teams I like to build. So we'll see if we can keep that going.
Yeah. Casey, Reed, Louie, all your guys tend to play well here. Is there a specific I mean, those are your types of players anyway. So maybe it's just happenstance that they tend to do well at the Valspar. But is there any particular type of player in general that you're looking for here? Is it like good irons, good chipping?
Yeah, so it's the rare. That's usually those are counterintuitive because the normal philosophy is if you're so good with your irons, you can get away with chipping because you don't need to face it. But at a place like this, at Copperhead, you can't really do that. And I think the ability to mitigate big numbers that like someone like Patrick Reed seems to work his way in and out of trouble. Louis, I mean, lately he's a super putter, but he's had some really good scrambling opportunities here in the past. So I think that type of player rarely is in play, but this week more than ever, it's actually very important.
All right, well, let's go to the 10K range on DraftKings. It starts off with the number 2 player in the world, priced higher than the number 1 player in the world. It's Justin Thomas. He is $11,500. DJ is 11.2. Big Dick Vic 10.5. Patrick Reed 10.3. Paul Casey, the 2-time defending champion, is $10,000. I briefly brought this up with Jeff on the betting show that Casey's like 22, 25 to 1 in some spots, that no one's going to bet him, are they? And he's going to win again.
Yeah, probably go for the three-peat, and it's true. I mean, he's a reasonable tag and people are going to start with him, but you see this sometimes in DFS where it's like, I can't tell you the winner. I feel like in betting this week, you're not going to see Casey's name on too many cards, which is pretty ironic.
Yeah, it's funny. It just with the top of the betting board, it's super tough. Do you have a lean of any of these guys, $10,000 and above? Because I really want to play Dustin Johnson, but I'm really concerned about his irons. And he kind of has to win at that price tag is the whole thing when it comes down to it. Like the T17 that he gave me at the Heritage was fine as an actual result, but it didn't really help out my DraftKings lineups all that much. So when I think about it, I think that Reed might just be the play at 10-3.
Reed's always the play. Yeah, I mean, I have no problem with going to Reed. He just does what he does. He's putting amazing. He's been like that all season. The harder, the better. I do think, and he's priced like it, that Justin Thomas naturally is just always the safest. He doesn't miss cuts. He scores. If the putter cooperates, he is the favorite for a reason, and I totally get that. I think you can pay that for sure, but Reed, you're getting $1,200 discount. He's a great starting point off Casey. You're paying $300 more. I have absolutely no problem with them. The question I had for you is anybody going to play Hovland? I think he might be the one that gets lost.
I have a feeling that Hovland's going to be higher owned than DJ will. Can I just say that I don't love Justin Thomas at this course? I just feel like this is not, and I've seen him win. He won at Quail Hollow in a PGA Championship that was set up very similar to this. So listen, I know he can win, and I know that he's the betting favorite. But just the things that he does poorly are not, like we said, chipping and approaches, which he is probably the best at in the field. So that's great. But the putting can putt himself out of this tournament, and the driving's not good.
Yeah, the driving's been really surprising. I mean, it was never mega elite, but it was good enough and it was consistent enough for a while there. And then you get wedges in his hands. I'm more going to the fact that, the two main skill sets, he's dominant with the irons, dominant working out of trouble. He just needs to make a couple. So I get it. I'm a little concerned about Dustin Johnson. He's been putting pretty well, but his irons have been broken to an extent. So if I go north of 11, I know there's only two guys, but it would be JT over DJ.
Looking at the projected ownership right now, it's still Tuesday morning, so this has a lot of time to mature. FantasyNational.com/Mayo, by the way. Also, I have NFL mock drafts out, player profiles, bets. Go check that all out on Mayo Media Network. Remember to smash the like button to the episode, sub to the channel, and in the comment section, give me your two favorite plays below $7,000 for the Valspar Championship this week, by the way. Probably no Quail Hollow show next week for DraftKings. If I get up and running at my new set and have my equipment show up, then we'll most definitely do one. But I just want to be primed and ready to go for PGA Championship week, Ben. But I have Dustin Johnson projected as the lowest right now. In the single digits, he's the only one. Vic in like 11%.
Is Sunday? I don't know if it was him or Ventura, but that was very, very disturbing. I'm a little salty with that. And I don't think, that profile is perfect for Valspar, but when you're that talented, of course you can do it. I definitely prefer Reed, though, when we're talking about that next batch of players.
All right, well, let's go 9K then, because I think this is where a lot of people are, I don't necessarily think going to start, but maybe they are. You can play three guys in the 9Ks if you want to. I don't think that this tier is substantially below everyone else. And looking at the early ownership projections, I was surprised at the guy who is the lowest owned right now. So Scheffler, 9.8, Connors, Louis, Hatton, Answer, Im, Joaquin Neiman, and Russell Henley. In order of the guys, I'm probably going to play four guys from this range, and this is how I may start all of my teams. However, I like Hatton the best at 9.4, which just seems like a slap in the face type pricing. Sung Jae at 9.2. Then Henley at $9,000. And then Scheffler at 98. Scheffler is the one that no one is owning right now.
That is interesting. I like Scheffler a lot. I thought him and Bubba had a real chance to win last week. Didn't materialize, but they still played good. And he's just very consistent. Really no weak link. The putter, it's not a strong suit, but it's good enough to hang in there, and everything else is firing on all cylinders. I also think, again, anytime you're close to someone like Paul Casey, who's going to be an extreme lightning rod this week, that's a good thing. Most people will find $200. So you're going to get some uniqueness there, but how can you not like Usti?
I never play Usti. I just don't do it. He's one of those guys
That's a good life choice
that I think you either play every week or you never play him. Then you don't have to worry about the withdrawals and stuff like that. The only time I really play Usti is when I log on to Fantasy National and see that his calculated ownership and projected ownership is below 5%. Then I feel good about it. But that's not the case this week. People are playing Louis.
Yeah, that is, I mean, the truth be told, the time to play Louis is when it makes the least amount of sense. And he is coming in, obviously could have won, possibly should have won last week. He's got a runner up here. And what he did there was just complete wizardry around the greens. And he's putting at an unsustainable rate. So all of those things I don't love. Ownership will determine it. I'm with you on Hatton. I like him a lot. The guy that I always get stuck on is Neiman, because I love the talent. I love the game. I just worry about the around the green play at courses like this.
I do too, but he has played tough courses really well. It's funny, like the more the wind, the harder the course, the better he tends to play. So that's a positive on his side. But I agree with you that the chipping has been really problematic. But I think it's the same case you could make for Vic at the same time. That the path that you spelled out earlier is that putting in irons and around the green player together and focusing on that is one thing, because normally you want someone who's ball striking the shit out of the ball. They're driving it well, they're hitting their irons well, and that's Neiman and Hovland. Like, that's how they can win this tournament, is just by being the best ball striker. Almost very similar to what Corey Connors had done through 3 rounds the first year that Paul Casey won. He was in the final group or the second to last group, ended up fading away on Sunday, but it was like the first real run that he ever got on the PGA Tour, like being in contention late. And that's exactly what happened to him. Like, he was ball striking, per Corey Connors, exceptionally well throughout the week. And then he started missing a few greens on Sunday, and then he had to rely on a short game. And a short game sucks, so he ended up going like T13 or something like that. So I can see going to him. I think I just like all of the other guys better than him at this particular course. And for someone who has money on Neiman at the British Open, I'm starting to rethink that now. I hope it gets real windy, put it that way.
Yeah, listen, these guys, particularly Neiman, there's a ton of talent, and he has shown he's starting to, he's finding his way in majors a little bit, and it'll come. I'm with you on Henley. He's got the combination. His ball striking, I think, is honestly underrated because it's Henley. He's a world-class iron player, has been for a long time. Just needs to get hot with the putter, which can come and go. So there's a lot to like here. I think a lot of people are going to join you in maybe starting with 3 guys in the 9s and omitting the top.
The move would be to start with Scheffler at 9-8 and hope that this isn't one of the bad iron weeks for him, because around the green, he's great off the tee. He's great. The putter comes and goes. But if he can get his irons dialed in, they've been better. They were better at the Zurich. They were better at the Masters. So, hopefully he can do that again here. And even just looking at him, he's not great at any one thing, but he's not bad at anything either, which is, I don't love his, over the past 36 rounds, he's one of the worst guys in the field from 175 to 200, but he hits it long enough that maybe the forced layups won't cause him, maybe he can get past that area, his problem area, when it comes down to the approach range. But it doesn't seem like anyone's playing him. Should we talk about Connors, the guy who's going to be the most owned? Like, at the end, I did this with Reed for the Heritage Show. We made a play the best plays lineup, and it was my only 6 of 6.
Yeah, it's been that way for seemingly like a year now, and that gets me into serious trouble because play the best plays is a formula that I strongly go against, and Corey Connors is bucking that trend with hole-in-ones and putting now. I mean, if he putts even remotely consistently, he's going to elevate himself to where he is right now. So I just can't. There's too many pivots. This is what I say every time, but how can I play Corey Connors when I can get Scheffler at a discount, when I can get Hatton and Im and guys cheaper for maybe slightly less ownership? To me, he's not a priority in any format just because of that. Maybe if you're going cash, of course, that's a different story, but I will once again probably be underweight on Corey Connors.
Yeah, and I don't really do an underweight or overweight on guys. Either I play guys and I'm overweight on them, or I just don't play. I play 0%, and he's probably going to be a 0%er. He'll be in the play the best plays lineup, obviously, because he really, all signs point to him being a great play this week, but we're trying to win a giant GPP here, and sometimes you need to buck the trend. We spend this entire show talking ourselves out of the good plays.
That's what we're here for. Yeah, I mean, it's incredibly frustrating to see that, but you do have to try to take a long-term view, and I still strongly believe that the times that you get these pivots right long-term, it gives you the opportunities for payouts that cover months and possibly years of play the best plays burning you.
The way that I look at it is you have Corey Connors at $9,600. You have the number 7 ranked player in the world at $9,400. Just give me the better player.
Yes, and ownership is probably tilting in your favor, or it's going to be a wash. So
it's almost double right now, Connors over Hatton.
You see, I mean, what is there to say then? Like, is Corey Connors? There's nothing that you can point to unless you think that he's that good, and I do not. So that makes it pretty easy. You got to kind of just live with that, and if that's the reason I lose, certainly wouldn't be the first time that Corey Connors is punished, man.
He could be this good because he's gained over 2 strokes putting in 5 consecutive events. If this putting is real, like, he's a top 15 player in the world.
Yes, and there is that. I dealt with that with Morikawa for a while, where I was just like, well, if he's this good, I'm going to have some serious problems. It turns out, spoiler alert, he is that good, and I have to adjust with that. So that's something that you definitely can consider, and that's why people get to him in some capacity. But there's a lot of direct pivots that I know are that good already. So I will go with the lower 9s and maybe go to Scheffler because that's an interesting pivot as well.
The one name that I really haven't heard brought up, not that I've done a ton of digging about it, but isn't Abraham Answer almost the exact same as Corey Connors?
I mean, he is. He's also absolutely crushing. The difference is his putter has been not horrendous, but it's certainly been quiet. Makes a ton of cuts. Great ball striker. I have no problem with Answer. You can't play him all, of course, but he's someone, again, you don't need nearly as much to get leverage. So you don't need as many shares, and that's always appealing.
It just feels like one of these weeks he's going to putt. He comes top 25 every single week, and he constantly loses strokes putting. And long term, like, he's not an awful putter, which is really strange. Like, he's lost it recently. That if he can get that back, I think if you're looking for a skill pivot off of Corey Connors, like Hatton and Connors don't share a whole lot of similarities in the way that their games are played. Now, neither does Louis, neither does Scheffler, but Answer and Connors are almost a perfect comp for one another. They are not super long off the tee, but they hit almost every single fairway. They're rarely in trouble. Their chipping and putting can give them problems from time to time. Like you always say, playing like sort of the skill set stack, you could play them together, but I think that if I can get Answer at half to a third of the ownership of Connors at a cheaper price, I might just make that play instead. And this would, the guys I'm talking about right now, this would probably involve me playing no one over $10,000.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's your priority first. Is if someone, if DJ or JT or one of these guys just wins, it's going to be a tough week if you go that route. But if they don't, you're going to have, basically the top of the board remaining. You're going to have multiple shots. And then, I say this a lot, if the top doesn't win, it opens it up where your lineup's not going to correlate in terms of priority. Like your 7K guy may take the placement points, and your guy like Answer giving you a T8 is actually very useful. So once you open it up and survive the top, it's a totally different game, and that could be very lucrative.
Did you see Sungjae's irons at the Heritage?
So Sungjae, hopefully Benny On didn't do anything, because it's now showing he's set up perfectly here. Yeah, everything is checking out. Tee to green is good. The putter is always good. It's got to be all systems go for Sungjae, right?
Yeah, I bet him. I'm using him. Him and Hatton, just because Hatton's like sneaky, got his game back together and no one's really noticed. So that's great news. And Sungjae, we were just waiting for the irons to come back, and they came back at Harbor Town. If he can keep it going, he's played this course once. He was fourth. If he can just do what he did at Heritage, he's probably going to win.
Yeah, he's won in Florida before. Sungjae's a guy that more likely than not, you're not going to find a ton of red flags. It's just, can the irons come? And that's where he struggled. His around the green game isn't the best, but he's a well-rounded player. Where is he, like 30-ish?
He's 28 in some spots. I got him at 34 yesterday. He might still be 33-ish. Also, bet Guido on the European Tour. Oh, I meant to ask you.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, I this is one of the main reasons that I wanted to have you on. I had it written down that I totally forgot. Your guy, Max Kieffer, who you constantly bet over and over and have been doing for like 3 straight years.
You're not wrong.
Has shit in your mouth 2 Sundays in a row. T2s back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, and then it's not, as if that wasn't bad enough. One of the weeks, Griot came in second. And then last week, Louis came in second. So it's just been, thank God, not that I bet him, but Peter Uihlein won on the Korn Ferry Tour to close one for the good guys. But the last week was whatever. Your boy, what was that guy's name? Higo?
Yeah, Higo. Garrick, my guy, Garrick Higo. Big winner.
Good for him. He deserved it. How Catlin won is beyond it. Kieffer had it. I cannot believe he lost 2 weeks ago. That was as brutal as it gets. Truly devastating for a guy that's never won on the European Tour.
He almost went full Spieth magic on Sunday last weekend.
I got a couple DMs that he was just he was making like birdies from the sea, and he was doing things that were quite disturbing. He just couldn't go low enough, but he is just fantastic. I love that guy. Hopefully he can break through one of these days and get me back to even on all the outrights I've had on him.
Well, the crappy thing, he's no longer like 200 to 1 every single week. He's like 30 to 1 now.
No, this is the worst thing, because I haven't cashed a dime with him, but I used to get him at like, triple digits all the time, because why? For obvious reasons. And now It's kind of like Schwab, where it's like his price is cratered, but I never got paid off. So it's quite unfortunate.
And this week, Matthias Schwab, 28-1 on the European Tour. Max Kieffer, 28-1 on the European Tour. But the bet is Guido at 33, or this other random loser that Sky's going for the Skyfecta here with 3 in a row on the European Tour. So I just got to continue tailing him. He's paying off all my PGA debts. Johannes Vermeen, 60-1. That's the guy.
Of course, yeah. Good old. What country is that person from?
I'm gonna say he's either Dutch or South African.
Oh, I didn't think about. Yeah, I was gonna go in the juice bucket. I didn't think about South African. Okay, I'm gonna try to remember that name and see what we can do. But yeah, it's been tough. I was wondering if you're gonna bring that up. It's been a tough Sunday morning in the Rasa household for the last couple of weeks.
Johannes Vermeen is American? That can't be right.
Yeah, it's from Jersey. What?
Johannes,
that can't be right.
Johannes Vermeen. Yeah. Let's see here. He doesn't have a Wikipedia page, so that's a
good sign.
That's a start for Johannes Vermeen. I can't believe this guy's 60-1. I've already bet on him too. This isn't great. Hopefully Guido can just win. That'd be a real cap for Sky though. His guy closing off the Skyfecta. Yeah, he is. He's American.
Okay.
All right.
I didn't have that.
USA. Let's go.
Hey, it can happen. There's some good Americans over there. I don't even know where they are in Europe, to tell you the truth, this week.
They're on the Canary Islands still. It's just a different course.
Okay. Well, that's all that needs to be said. Go.
Hey, it did a good job. Whatever the Canary Islands did, it worked on Feinberg because now he wants to go to the Canary Islands. It looks so nice.
It did look pretty cool. I don't know. I know a decent amount about geography. I don't really know where the Canary Islands is, though.
It's off the coast of Portugal, isn't it?
Sounds right.
Let's see. Let me.
I mean, there were so many Spanish players last week.
It's off the coast of Morocco, so just off just past the Iberian
same
Peninsula,
neighborhood,
a bit south. So yeah, it looks fantastic. Wasn't that where that stupid Ronaldo statue was?
What?
Remember that Ronaldo statue that they unveiled? It just looked like he had suffered like acid burns or something like that.
I missed the acid burn Ronaldo statue. I'm gonna have to catch up on my soccer gossip. But I have no idea what you're talking about, but I want to very badly.
This was a couple years ago. I think it was unveiled at the Canary Islands airport. I could be off on that, but it was an island off like somewhere in the Atlantic, just off the coast of like Iberia and just the northwest Africa.
I'm Googling this now. This is amazing. Yeah, you're right.
Was it the Canary Islands?
Madeira Island.
Okay, yeah. So I had the island wrong. So I think the Canary Islands is a Spanish island. I guess Madeira would be a Portuguese island.
Yeah, at the airport, it looks like a Hall of Fame bus that didn't make the final cut here. That's not the best.
All right, 8K guys at the Valspar Championship. I don't love this range outside of, I assume, the guys that everyone loves. Like, I love Kokrak at $8,700. That's chalk that I will eat. I also like Ryan Palmer at 85. I just think that he's good. Charlie Hoffman rates out number 1 in the modeling. That is not going unnoticed by Fantasy National members, as he is currently the highest projected owned player on the slate.
Yeah, I mean, he's in a groove. There's no doubt about it. Churning out good finishes, and it checks out, particularly with his irons. Kokrak makes sense. There's a couple guys, and I'm going to talk about another one when we get to the lower ranges, that I think, even though they're aggressive off the tee, they actually benefit when they're forced to club down a little bit. Luke List is one of them. I always say that about him, and I believe that to be true with Kokrak. His game is just much better shape. I mean, I know I talk up my guys, but Griot is actually playing tremendous golf right now.
Yeah, doesn't it feel like it's just going to fall apart for him? He's getting up there in price now. And the heritage is one thing. This is a step up in both competition and difficulty, of course. This ain't the Puerto Rico Open anymore.
It's certainly not. And this is a guy, I mean, you're definitely living dangerously in the sense that, and we've seen this, if he can't get around the green. He doesn't have the formula that I want. He has one part of it down to a T. He's an elite ball striker. His around the green game is not going to be able to hold up. So it's a bunch of risk reward there. I'm still interested because I really do believe that the putter has made some turns. He's gained in 3 of 5, which for him is absolutely massive. I'm pretty convinced that he has an opportunity here, but he has to hit plenty of greens because he just can't scramble like these other guys.
This 8K range is super chalky right now. So you're looking at Kokrak, Hoffman, Griot, Kirk, Homa, all projected above 15% at the moment, and Tringali.
It's going to be interesting how people do that. Do they go north of 10K and then go with two of these guys? Do they flat and go like 9s and 8s? I guess. But if you go very aggressive in the 9s, you're probably going to create a dead range here.
Well, it's based on the way that this is laying itself out right now. And just to say, like, the only guy above, the two guys above 15% at $10,000, like currently, and this is all going to change, obviously, is Patrick Reed at 16%, Paul Casey at 15%. Then you have like Hovland at 10, Dustin at 6, Justin Thomas at 12. So maybe the move might be just like double up at top and go to the bottom. Because if you're going to start in the 9s, it feels like you're going to take 2 or 3 guys in the 9s. And if you take one of these guys at the top, it feels like you almost drop immediately into the 8s and take like 3 of those guys.
Yeah, that's definitely gonna be a build I think people will look to, and I probably will as well. Just because I think you can find leverage. And then there are a couple guys, you mentioned a bunch of chalky options. Taylor Gooch is in a similar bucket to me as Griot. You're gonna have to get by with your approach. He's a world-class iron player at times. It comes and goes, but he has extreme variance within that. Putter's been good. I actually am, I don't think he's going to be popular. It's not a guy I go to often, but
Kevin Na.
I see Kevin Na's there as well. These are guys, there's something to that. It doesn't mean you pivot in all 6 spots, but you can at least explore these type of options.
Well, it's really funny to me. I know that you always kind of speak about this as it pertains to JB Holmes, that he has this weird, uncanny ability that when he putts well, he putts really well. And then all of a sudden he's gaining 10 strokes on the greens. Like, that's the sort of player who can provide legitimate upside when they are pivot plays at low ownership. Now, we haven't seen that at a JB in a while, but Kevin Na is kind of that guy at the same time. Like, he could most definitely miss the cut of Homa and Kirk and Griot and Tringali and even Hoffman at this point. He's probably the least likely to make the cut of those guys. He's also probably the most likely to win.
Absolutely. There's a totally different, this is where you have to evaluate what you're trying to do. Win equity wise, Kevin Na is certainly always playing above. It's like Sneds to me. He's another one who does that. Like, these guys are more likely to win than where they're priced. The reason they're priced down there is because their missed cut equity is gigantic, because when they don't have it, it's really bad. So you can tap into some of that. I totally get it. There's certainly safer options, though, in the mid-8s.
Yeah, listen, Kevin Na is not going to make the best plays lineup, but he's probably going to make Pat Mayo's lineup because I lose money every single week. But whenever I think I play Kevin Na every single week. So through the withdrawals, he's sort of like Louis is for you, except he's cheaper priced, which is great. And he wins more, so that's actually nice. But when I'm looking at his like Valspar history, he hasn't played here since 2017. He missed the cut that year. Before that, 22nd, 10th, and 2nd. Not bad. This is a course that is not penal for him off the tee, because off the tee means a lot less than it does at other courses, unless you're putting it into the woods. But he's a fairly accurate player. The irons can be amazing. We know how hot the putter can get, and I'm never really worried about him getting it up and down. That he can do.
Oh, no doubt. And obviously, this is a short sample size. I'm just using it to make a point. But if you just look at Kevin Na's putting at Valspar, this is exactly what I'm talking about. He's had 2 negative events where he lost strokes putting. He lost 2.4 and 2.9. Then he had 2 positive, and he gained 4 and 4.7. And that's what you're talking about. That's a huge spread. You're not seeing like, oh, he gained 0.5 of it. He was around 0. It's boom or bust, and that's what you want to look for with pivots, because if you get it right, the upside for Kevin Na is actually winning the tournament.
Kevin Na's projected ownership is the lowest of anyone in the 8K range, and it's around 4% right now.
Yeah, and that's warranted in some regard, because most people, particularly if you're playing like a single lineup or something, you don't want to sacrifice it to the gods immediately. So I get being hesitant, but at the same time, if you want to embrace that, could be. It's unlikely, but you could get a massive payoff from a guy like that.
We're doing it this week. We're going to win with Kevin Na, Ben. Let's have it. I'm in.
I'll go to the loony bin.
He's gonna fucking withdraw, isn't he?
Probably. That seems possible. But if he doesn't, We're ahead of the game.
Yeah, then we can just grind out his T36 after he has a real hot Sunday when no one's watching. 7K range at Valspar. I don't have a ton of takes from here. They're all kind of the same guy. I like Woodland, 78, club down course. And I'm playing, Cam is going to be on the show with us tomorrow breaking down the Kentucky Derby. So this isn't, I'm going to try to do my best Cam here. $7,400, a player you're very familiar with, Ben Rasa. He has had 4 starts so far in 2021. He has yet to finish worse than T15. He has 3 top 10s. He has played exclusively on the European Tour. I have no idea what he is doing at this tournament, but it's my guy, Sam Horsfield.
Get them Kentucky Derby vibes, yeah.
The Derby narrative, that's what we're going here.
Smart, okay, I see what you did there. Yeah, when you said Cam, I thought you were going to mention one of the Cams, Cam Davis or Cam Champ, but you went to the horse theme. I see what's going on. This is a guy that I've always thought is really talented. We just don't have a ton of information. When we've seen him over here, for the most part, it's been pretty bad, but it's been in majors and things of that nature. He's played API well a couple of times. I think it's an interesting play. You've got Lanto right there. You've got Lucas Glover in this range is someone good. That I look to.
He's been good.
He really has. I have a feeling I'm going to get into a little trouble with Lucas Glover. So there are options, no doubt.
The current players projected over 10% on fantasynational.com at the moment, the glove being one of them. Keegan Bradley, the highest owned of anyone here. And, pick your poison with Keegan. There's a reason that he can go full Keegan because it's this course where he did it at. So be very careful with Keegan Bradley. This course also has the second most putts Ben missed inside 5 feet.
Oh, that'll be... Yeah, surely that won't come into play with a guy like Keegan. His irons are automatic at this point, but it's one of the more unbalanced player profiles. His short game and his putting are as bad as it gets, and his ball striking is as good as it gets.
So Keegan, Glover, Denny McCarthy, oh hi Denny, Lanto Griffin, and Doug the Gim Reaper projected at 20%. Good God.
Yeah, that's
stop playing Doug Gim. Leave Doug Gim for me, okay?
You're not talking to me, believe me. I play Doug Gim a little, but
I play him a lot. I play him every week.
I played him last week. Him and Sue they're solid. They did their thing. But I don't know. There's some interesting pivots here, starting with a guy that I get into trouble with, and he's really shown no signs. But long term, when I think about this guy, I think kind of about Valspar. I'm going to play Alex Noren. Same price as Gim, direct pivot. He's playing okay. He actually looked good at Heritage for a change. And the Swedes were all right last week. So I'm going to go to Alex Noren as a pivot here.
Alex Noren as a pivot. Okay. Do we just roll the dice on Hadwin and maybe he can figure it out?
So Hadwin's tricky because you have to just almost convince yourself that it doesn't matter with the stats, because you look at them and you're just like, this is ridiculously unsustainable.
Yeah, but go and look at what he did at Heritage when he completely inverted what he had been doing.
Yeah, and then he missed the cut. If you would have told me that Hatton gained almost 2 strokes on the approach, I would have been saying, okay, he's going to be in the hunt, and he didn't even make the weekend. So sometimes that's good. It means that it's like the whack-a-mole formula and you just need to connect the dots. But other times it's now his best thing may be regressing. I don't know. He has a weird distribution of results at Valspar, which I think a lot of guys would have over time. So it's not like he can't do it. He's done it here. I just don't know exactly where his game is at.
It's all over the place, but this is it's hard to look back because when he won at this event, his lead-in form was so good that he was basically what we saw from Corey Connors at the moment, Hadwin was doing, except he was priced still down in this range and he wasn't a prohibitive favorite in this field after the 2 best players in the world. So you could still kind of glom on to him here. I like what you said about Glover. I have Kisner projected at 1% right now.
So that's been a guy that I think I've been doing it right, but it hasn't been working at all. I just keep betting him. He's 90-1 this week. To me, that's because the miscut equity is gigantic. I know he can win. I know he's talented. I don't mind sprinkling, but I'm going to keep betting him. I know that may be a fool's errand, but if you're going to give me almost 100-1 in fields like this with a guy like Kisner, I'm going to keep doing it.
Noren's a pretty good call. I didn't realize how well he played at Heritage.
He did, and he did it in the way that I wanted to see it. He was very good with his irons, and he's an incredible up and down player. Didn't really even need the putter, and the putter's been hot. So I look at that. If he can hold it together off the tee, I think there's something there with Noren who is not going to be popular.
Can you go teach Doug Gim how to putt for me, please?
Oh yeah, that's what you want, me teaching people.
Well, listen, it has to be better than what he's doing right now. He is averaging in his past 5 tournaments, the average number of strokes gained putting is minus 3.2.
Yeah, that's in there with like Benyon-esque territory. That's hard to do because if you have 0, like you've skewed the data, and for him to
and he's only missed 1 cut.
Well, that's. I mean, I don't know what you do about that because it's like, first of all, this is a full field. So making the cut, this is going to be another low. I mean, 6 of 6 last week was like 1%. This is going to be very low as well. So there is something to that. But at tee to green, this guy is on fire. Interesting guy.
And this is a good course for him too because he's super accurate off the tee, and he's one of the I believe in these irons. Like I go back and I look at the event log. He has lost strokes with his irons once since he lost at Sony in 2 rounds. He had a horrible Sony the week that the first week, like I bet him hard. And then, all of a sudden he just he's missed 2 cuts over his next 10 starts. He's yet to drop strokes on approaches since. He drops it occasionally off the tee. He's like hit or miss around the green, but the putting has just been atrocious. And these are the type of guys that I bet on all the time. This is the Pat Mayo profile of guys that I like.
It can work, and there is the kind of what we're talking about with Corey Connors, but even more so here. You can also just macro bet on these guys. Like next year at Valspar, Doug Gim could be 9K. He could be 10K. Like there's a chance he's just really good, and he's starting to find it. Now he could also be like off the tour potentially. There's a big range of outcomes, but there's something to that. I just don't love the fact that I think a lot of people have really gravitated towards him in recent weeks.
Yeah, I mean, he's the chalky low sevens guy. That is almost a direct, like when you write it down, that's like guy that you fade, but I'm such a sucker.
I mean, it's always tempting, and Corey Connors has proven, whether it's at the Masters or any other tournament, like he doesn't care about being the chalk that you should probably pivot. He just goes and breaks down those walls. So it's not like Gim can't play good. I wouldn't be even remotely surprised. It's just, are you getting 1/5, 1/6 the ownership on direct pivots with some of these other guys,
or 1/10 the ownership on 2 guys right below him? You've already brought up one of them, like your boy, but actually you've brought up both of them so far, which is strange because I had both of them highlighted. One is Uline, who has the win on the Corn Ferry Tour, top 5 last week at the team event with Richie Wawrinski. He's back on Bermuda. That's his jam. Like, is this finally the time?
I mean, you're not going to have to convince me. I've been on him. Really liked him last week. It was just great. He's the inverse. Now, he's a great around the green player, extreme putter. So off the tee game, if he can keep it out of the drink, that's what I worry about. He takes himself out of tournaments far too often. But lately, it seems like he's found something. And I still believe that Peter Uihlein is a better player than most. So I will be going to him, particularly because Gim is going to shield him for massive ownership.
He's also going to shield Snedeker, who keeps kind of popping back up. He had a really good Valero. He had a good team event. He wasn't a write-off at Heritage. That this is a course where I've seen him compete before.
I mean, he's in the Kevin Na bucket. You don't know why or when, but it can just, and it just shows. I mean, at Valero, he gained 7.5 strokes on the approach. Then at Heritage, he did it all around the green. And we know he can do it with the putter. It's really those 3 categories at any time can go to the extreme. So I get it. I certainly don't want to make him a priority, but if I get to some Brandt Snedeker this week, I'm very comfortable with that.
The highest rated players the past 36 rounds per the model I put together. And if you subscribe to the newsletter, I put in graphics of just kind of looking through this stuff and how I came to these conclusions of what to throw into the stat modeling this week. And the reason that I won't end up following it, because here are the names that spit me out from the 7Ks. Keegan, Doug Gim, Lonto, Lucas Glover, Matthew Neesmith, John, and Tom Hollywood Hoagie, who I actually think I'm going to play.
Yeah, Tom Hollywood Hoagie, I never play this guy, but he keeps popping up. And he's had 2 straight. His chipping has been better than I give him credit for. Like, it's not great, but it's been fine. Flat 7. I will say that I do think your boy Luke List is interesting.
Me too. Short course, man. Short course Bermuda. That's the one place where he can do well.
It is. And at Heritage, he wasted a really good iron play. Finally, he lost 5.5 strokes putting. That's always what you're going to have to deal with. But this is the type of track for Luke List. And we've seen it. We've seen it Honda, some other places. I'm going to go to him this week at flat 7.
I can probably get there too. Just let me check in. Yeah, the around the green has been kind of spotty for him, but it seemed like he had it figured out for a while. And when he was running really good, he was really good around the greens, and that was saving his ass a ton. And, I mean, you can kind of steer this 2 ways. One, if someone is a good putter, they're not going to miss their 5-footers. But at this course, like I mentioned, it has the second most missed putts inside of 5 feet after Riviera. So maybe some other people in the field will putt like Luke List just because people miss these putts.
Yeah, I mean, he already does that.
Yeah.
So him missing 5-footers this week is just another week. So do you have any interest in Charles?
I don't know. It's funny because I didn't watch much of the Zurich. I just assumed Louis was carrying the team.
I mean, if you saw the playoff,
I saw the playoff.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. It's very hard to conceptually, like, I wasn't paying a ton of attention either of like who did what, but Charles had been trending, but then you go, it's like Augusta, that's obviously a totally different animal. I don't have a ton of interest, to be honest. I think I'd rather play List, probably rather play Hollywood Hoagie as well.
Yeah, Neesmith is the really interesting one because he does almost everything you want well except for the chipping. The chipping is not good, but he's one of those guys that you need. The problem with the super like iron and ball striker players when you get down in this territory, like, if Vic wins, Vic is probably going to hit like 80% of greens in regulation throughout the week while the field hits like 55%. I just don't know if someone like Neesmith has 3 days of that or 4 days of that in him. He'll do it for 1 round, but what happens the other 3 rounds? And that 1 round can kind of cloud everything else that happens. I like him. He's fine. I have no problem using him. I probably just won't get to him because I'm like, oh, Rasmus Højgaard's right there. Maybe I should play him instead, despite the fact that every time I play him, he shoots plus 35.
Yeah, maybe Vaughn Taylor gave him some tips last week with the new power pairing in golf, but there's a range. Again, I don't think I need to get too crazy. There's some guys as we work to the 6s that I think you can use for salary relief, but if you don't go up top, you're going to have a ton of flexibility to land where end where you want to.
Keith Mitchell, Jeff brought him up. I'm kind of on board with him. He's been playing a little bit better, and again, another club down course. This is where he tends to play a little bit better.
Where is flat 7? Killer Keith, what are you doing? Gaining on the... Yeah, he actually is playing better. I was... him and Sneds were another weird pairing last week. They were making eagles all over the place. Keith Mitchell's a tough one for me just because his stats... He either doesn't grade out well for me or there's some bad data, and I probably think it's the latter, to be honest. I just don't know if I'll honestly have room for him at flat 7. There's a lot of guys right there that I think are interesting.
Like Stenson? Because Rose carried that team.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to go to Stenson. I'm not saying I'm going to get to him, but I take a look at Johnny Vegas every time. And then I kind of just continue living my life, but it's just, I don't know. Something about him. There
was something on it. I want to give a special shout out to PGA Splits. Let me get the actual full address here. Twitter handle, sorry. PGA Splits 101 at PGA Splits 101. He's been using the Fantasy National raw data and parsing it in different ways, and I think that he might even be helping us out with adding in new filters to make this information a lot easier for people to find. But there was a Vegas one that popped up that was like, holy shit, Johnny Vegas is super high on this list. Unless I was reading it incorrectly. It was not putting on pure Bermuda. There it is. Par 4s. The par 4s, all 400 to 450 yards, those ones. At the Valspar Championship average, the average score on them is 4.13. So they're very tough compared to other courses because, well, they're between 400 and 450 yards because of the dog lags and the forced layups. they tend to play like 20 to 30 yards longer than they actually are. So you can kind of put them in a longer bucket. So looking at other courses with tough par fours from the 400 to 450 range, and he found that it was TPC San Antonio, Sawgrass, Bay Hill, Pebble Beach, Torrey Pines South, PGA National, Quail Hollow, and Shinnecock were the ones that he used. The best players in the field over the last 3 years on holes from that length are Streelman, Redman, Reed, Vegas, Casey, Connors, Kirk, Bradley, and Ryan Palmer. All those guys play really well at this course.
I think there is something to that. Certainly that's not how I arrived at this, but it reinforces kind of what I think about with Vegas. And he's another guy that it's all there. He's going to gain most likely off the tee, but his other stats, it's erratic, but it's also consistently erratic. And there's something to that. Fratelli has that, couple other guys on tour. Yeah, exactly. Those type of guys. There's something there. You don't get it right often, but Johnny Vegas is the type of guy, when he pops, he tends to really pop.
6Ks. The only guy I've highlighted so far is Seb Straka, who's won me a bunch of money at this tournament in the past, being first round FRL. I might not have hit a first round leader since. The first round leader market has severely been shifted. I can't get the same guys. It doesn't seem like it's a lot because it's still triple digits, but there'd be guys like Seb Straka. I think the year that I hit him, he was 225 to 1. Those guys just aren't there anymore. Those are all 100 to 1 guys. And it really takes a lot of the pricing out of it for me. You know what I mean?
Oh, I totally know what you mean. It used to be, those type of players. Now I feel like almost a lot of my first round leader plays have actually shifted to honing in on, I rarely used to do this, but betting pretty top of the board guys to just almost go wire to wire. Not always, but yeah, some of those big time names in terms of big payouts, they're not nearly as lucrative as they once were.
No, because before you could kind of tread water for 9 weeks. Then you hit one, then you're still up money because the payouts were so big. That's not the case anymore.
No, it's not. And it's a fine line. I don't know if, it also may be that I just picked the wrong guys. There's always that aspect of it. True. But yeah, I'm looking at God. Now we get into these are the names where it starts to get a little dangerous.
So I like Straka. I think you can play him at $6,800. I like him at tougher courses. He tends to show up at those. Can I play Bryce Garnett? Because he continues to play well. He was not the issue on the Garnett Stallings team at the Zurich, who I had money on. Just needed to come inside the top 5, Ben. That's all I needed. It didn't happen. Because Stallings kept missing from 3 feet, putting it in the fucking water. Oh my God, man. I played you because you were constantly gaining with your irons. You're supposed to be good at this, and he was horrendous.
Bryce Garnett has a distinct formula. Now, it may just be beating up on garbage fields, but if it's not that, Corrales, Puerto Rico, OHL, even Wyndham, Honda, these are all his best finishes on tour. So there is something to that. I don't know exactly if he's going to be able to handle something like this in terms of the difficulty, but I get it. I just wish he wasn't so close to the guys we talked about. If he was 65, I would get there. I just probably will find $100 and go to the various other options.
Yeah, I think that's probably the right move. It's not that he's overpriced. Yes, Paul.
Are you guys talking about Bryce Garnett?
Yeah.
He has COVID.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Does that make him better? Does that make him?
Yeah, that brings JJ Spawn. That brings JJ Spawn into the field and Tim Wilkinson.
Well, should we
Bryce Garnett, Will Gordon.
Now, how does this work?
17 hours ago.
This could work as in either Bryce Garnett is the only player allowed to play in the Valspar, and everyone else has to go home so they don't get COVID, or it works the opposite way where he's not allowed to play anymore. I don't know which one it is.
Tim Wilkinson is in now? Is that what I just heard?
I think he said JJ Spawn.
JJ Spawn and Tim Wilkinson.
Oh, Silkinson is in? Sign me up.
Yeah, I don't know if he can carry, if it's a forced carry of 225, he may have issues, but I love that guy.
Your boy Seaford's 66.
Yeah, I don't mind going there solely because everybody was all about him last week, and I got it. I was there too, and he certainly didn't pay off. So maybe just holding on 1 week. I'll be honest, I still don't know exactly what his game is all about. Doesn't have one distinct category. He's kind of just average at best. Really in everything.
He pops with the irons every now and then, a lot. It seems like he actually pops in each of the 4 strokes gain categories randomly week after week after week. It's just a different one. Like at Valero, almost 4 strokes gained off the tee, nothing else going on. At the Heritage, gained over 3 strokes putting. At Honda, 7.9 strokes gained on approach. And then you go back to the Amex, 3.5 gained on approach. It's just, he's all over the map. Maybe one of these weeks he'll just squeeze it all together.
I mean, I would rather have a guy who has the ability to do that than just have a guy down here who can only do one thing. And there's just like no possible way that he can pop in the other categories. So there's not much. The opportunity cost is minimal. Benny On is down here, but he's really just not there right now.
Yeah, I can't get behind. And I was actually giving a hard look to Tyler Duncan. But you want to talk about a guy who sucks at putting? He sucks at putting now.
Yeah, Shank, I needed them badly last week, and it just wasn't happening. So can't get behind that. I'll tell you what, this is more of like a blind flyer. I'm sure I could point to something. I just have a feeling that Troy Merritt's going to play well.
Oh, it's one of those 3 weeks?
Yeah, one of the 3 weeks out of the decade with Troy Merritt. He's been okay. The miscuts haven't been egregious. The stats are just pretty blah. I just, it was a very long time ago, but he's done it here a little bit. I like the setup actually for him at, you're talking a true 1%er now.
I want to look in to see how he's been doing, but I keep playing Brandon Hagee and it works like once every 2 weeks.
All right. Maybe I don't understand golf. That would probably be a start to a lot of the questions that I have. But Brandon Hagee, I just assume every drive is like 390. And then I look and it's just not. Like, isn't he like a nuclear bomber?
I thought he was too, but maybe that's been the change in his game.
Every time I'm like, oh my God, he's just going to like drive the par 5. And it's just like 225, then like 170-yard iron shot. And then he gets up and down. Like, I don't understand what we're doing here with him.
He's still gaining a bunch off. Like in terms of driving distance gain, the Heritage was the first event he didn't gain off the tee in terms of distance against the field since the 2020 Sony. And before that, it had never happened before.
Okay. So maybe he can still do that.
It just, whenever I watch him, it feels like his around the green game is really good.
He's an interesting player. He's got there's a couple guys who have that rare formula, Champ a little, obviously Bryson to a much larger extent, where like if you crush it off the tee and you make your fair share of putts, you don't really need to do anything else unless you're really, really screwing up with your irons.
I'm just trying to figure out who the other guys would be down here. Can I sell you on some Vince Watley or Whaley or whatever the fuck his name is?
I didn't know he existed until I saw them make the cut. I don't even know who he played with last week.
Yeah, he's now made 6 consecutive cuts on the PGA Tour, friend.
Is he even does he have status, or he just like they just let him keep showing up, shoot till you miss?
I don't know. Maybe he's just like Homer. It's like, I just showed up the first day of the Plant Open and I'm still here.
Jamie Lovemark's here. Don't play him.
Yeah, don't play
people.
Jamie Lovemark.
No, I just wanted to quickly say that. Boy.
Like I'm looking down at the bottom, and I just can't figure out what to do. Do you think that Nick Watney is now riding good time vibes after playing with Charlie Hoffman?
I don't know what that was about last week. I mean, God, the bottom is really bad. Grayson's down there, but
oh man, the bad boy of Chinese golf, Xingzu Zhang is the min. Oh my
back.
God! Oh my God, he's missed like 10 cuts in a row.
He's on the man. I'm throwing out all sorts of names. He's on the Anders Albertson train. Remember that guy?
Yeah, I feel like it's Svensson who keeps popping up on the Korn Ferry Tour lately, isn't it?
Anders Albertson made I was like, wow, this guy's pretty good. He's made like 8 straight cuts, and then he missed like 35 in a row. Don't know where he's at, but hope he comes back. I miss that guy.
Who are the other idiots from down here? You got all the. This is Corey Connors' breakout. Adam Hadwin has a win here in the past. Maybe we should just be scouting Canadians here. So we have David Hearn and Glick. I hope he sucks because I don't like his last name and I find it very hard to say. Also, Roger Sloan, who actually rates out really well for me. He's 25th of all players in this field.
Roger Sloan has been a guy that I've actually been on a lot, and I played him last week. He played with Aaron Badley, they were rolling. I mean, I know it's easy when it's, Thursday with best ball. They were rolling and they couldn't get it done Friday, missed that cut. Roger Sloan's actually a pretty good player, particularly with his irons.
He missed the cut at Valero, but before that, 22nd at Corrales, 25th at Honda, 22nd at Puerto Rico. Yeah, he's a pretty good player. I'm going to play him. $6,500. He'll be my cheap guy.
I don't know if you need to go
This low?
Yeah, that's, I think, fine. But, I'm looking at like the Chesson, Hadley, Kelly, I don't see much down here. I'm not sure unless you're doubling up and you're like, I want JT and Reed, something like that. I'm not sure there's a reason to go this low.
I mean, can we play Camillo? Camillo's miscut or top 20?
Where is he?
He's 66, I think. 67.
Yeah, I mean, I think you go there. Up there, though, it's a different opportunity cost. He's actually playing a lot better than I thought, though.
And maybe Shank has got it back together.
Yeah, Shank used to be.
He was the guy who made he made the cut every single week for a while until he stopped doing that so much. But he's made 3 of the past 4.
Once that goes, I like Shank, but I remember when Brandon Harkins used to do that.
Brandon Harkins, what happened to that guy?
I don't know. These guys, they punish me and then they take my money and they run. Never to be seen again. I don't know where he is. He's not in the field though. I can confirm that.
One guy who I don't know if he has the driving acumen to really get it done, but Tom Lewis is playing well.
We know he can do it. Obviously, he's competed in a hell of a lot better fields than this. He's got everything. It's just him and Peters was the perfect pairing last week. They're the same player. They're just nuts.
Okay, let me ask you, why isn't Peters in this field?
I don't know. I was like virtually certain he was going to stay and play. I don't know how it works if he can, but if Rasmus is here, why isn't Peters here?
Yeah, and like I guess Sam Horsfield's probably in the PGA Championship, isn't he?
Yes, that makes sense now that I think about it.
We need to get Higo in the PGA Championship. He's up to number 64 in the world.
We need to get Kieffer in the. I played him at a major once. U.S. Open.
What? Kieffer was in a major?
I played him at a U.S. Open.
How'd he do?
It's not about how he did. It was an experience. It was really bad. That was a long time ago.
He didn't pull the Zalatoris like, he came 7th.
Nope. He didn't pull anything of the sort. It was really, really unfortunate. But yeah, that was like when I first discovered him because he had made it was absurd. He had like eagle streaks on the European tour. And I was like, this is a guy I can get behind. Didn't translate. What can you do?
So we throw out a lot of names. I'll have them condensed in my cheat sheet up on dkplaybook.com. That will come out Tuesday evening. And I am sure that you're going to be talking all the stuff through over on Osimo throughout the course of the week.
Absolutely. We're going to break this down on shows Tuesday and Wednesday night, answering your questions and certainly the projections, the ownership, everything behind the paywall. If you guys want to sign up, we got weekly passes. Get on over there. No better time to do it.
Let's do the play the good plays lineup. Let's make a lineup.
All right.
Only the good plays, though.
Man, this is going to be foreign to me.
Yeah. So I it's funny when I look at my exposures when I go in, it's going to be like, why do I have 3% Corey Connors for some reason? It's like, I have this lineup that has. So Corey Connors is in this lineup, right?
Yes. Isn't Gim as well?
Yeah, Gim. I mean, is Gim the good play?
I feel like he is. I'm not good. I'm not going to be good at this because my mind doesn't work properly for a lot of reasons, but I think this is one of them. I don't know. Who else? Like Charlie Hoffman?
Oh, yeah. Charlie Hoffman's definitely in this lineup. So Hoffman. Paul, you've been listening to this. Who do you think the
I've got like the chalkiest lineup. My only lineup I've made so far.
Does it have Connors and Hoffman in it?
Connors, Hoffman, Tringali, Kirk, Homa, and Neesmith.
That's not, I don't think it's that chalky.
It's pretty chalky, I think.
Who would be the other guys that we can play? So Connors and Hoffman.
Two most owned guys in the field. And then I don't know about those other guys in the eights, but in our stats board template, these guys,
they're the best.
We're up at the top.
Do we throw Casey into it? It's just, this is the best Casey has ever played coming into this event.
Yeah, I mean, you could go. We're 66. Is there anyone at 66? Kieffer?
No, because
Well, let's-
we're playing the good plays here. So
Yeah. So you could go balance. You could go Connors, Hoffman, Kirk, Tringale, Gim, and Keegan.
that's the lineup.
Look at that.
Kirk, there we are. Kirk, Tringali, Gim. Who was the other one? Keegan.
Keegan.
Oh, good God.
Yeah, look at that lineup.
All right, $0. We maxed out our salary too on
Perfect.
the play the best plays lineup. Actually, you know who's probably deserves to be in this lineup? I guess it doesn't now work. Although we could go down from Bradley to Glover at 77. Does that get us up enough to go from Tringali to Kokrak? Because Kokrak's, I think Kokrak's.
Bundy.
We're now missing $100. Fuck.
Yep.
Is there anyone else who's like a good play in that middle range, the low sevens to mid sevens? There's not really. Well, that's unfortunate.
Lanto-esque maybe, but
Yeah, Lonto wouldn't be bad. Homa is going to carry a lot of ownership. Huh. All right, guess
you
we're
could
going to...
bump Kirk to Homa.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's bump Kirk to Homa. Really don't like Homa this week, but that's probably a good thing for him.
Yeah, I don't like him either. So there it is. Look at that. That team is got the glove in there now.
All right, so Connors, Hoffman, Homa, Kokrak, Gimmon, the glove. That's the play the best plays lineup. Go win me $200K. Thank you.
That's a
All right, Ben Rasa. Thank you for this exercise in us trying to get away from what we normally do and play good plays.
fun time as always.
Check out Ben on Twitter at JazzRazDFS and check him tomorrow on the Pat Mayo Experience when we're breaking down the Kentucky Derby with Cam. It's going to be a great time. I'm Pat Mayo. You can follow me on Twitter at ThePME, FantasyNational.com/Mayo to get yourself 20% off. Smash like, leave your sleepers, and join the Listeners League. Okay? I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!